In the UK, we once relied on small-scale farms like the Meadows Community Garden in front of you. Now, however, we rely on large-scale agriculture for our food, a change that has largely been driven by a growing population and a need to increase farming efficiency, but has also led to several problems. Firstly, the land available for crop growth is limited. In the UK, there is around 6 million hectares of farmable land, which is the equivalent of 3 times the size of Wales. Globally, the search for more land is leading to deforestation and habitat destruction. In addition, farming methods and the equipment used release large amounts of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, which form 10% of the UK's greenhouse gas emissions. One of the key aims of COP26 is to try and solve some of these problems by making farming more sustainable. Some aims of sustainable farming are to save energy by using renewable resources, reduce waste from agriculture, and ensure that farming has either a neutral or positive impact on the environment.
At the University of Edinburgh, we are working towards making farming more sustainable during all 3 stages of food production. First, there is preparation, where crops are bred and the land is prepared for use. Then the crops are grown during the production phase. Finally, there's processing and usage, where plants are harvested, transported to factories, processed, and eventually turned into the food on your table. For instance, we are working towards improving crop photosynthesis, meaning that crops can efficiently produce energy and as a result increase the amount of food they give us. We also look at how crop management strategies can improve plant growth. For example, we are investigating whether squishing plants when they are seedlings could help them to grow up to be sturdier and more resilient. Not all of a crop goes into making your dinner. The leftovers have to be dealt with too. At the University of Edinburgh, we are looking at how this can be done more effectively by even turning this crop waste into plastics.
So how might this change farming in the future? One possibility is that farming in cities may become more common, but will look slightly different to the Meadows Community Garden. As current populations continue to grow, pushing demand for food and land up, farms might start returning to cities, but inside skyscrapers, in vertical farms. Inside these, crops will be grown under the optimal growth conditions and without any risk of attack from pests, allowing us to increase food production whilst using much smaller land areas. This will also eliminate the need for food to travel long distances, meaning less transportation and a much smaller carbon footprint for our food. But importantly, the future of farming is not all about new technology. Moving towards more sustainable farming practices, such as regenerative agriculture, is also essential. Often, we can learn from traditional farming methods to improve current practices. For example, that plant squishing technique from before is actually based on a traditional Japanese farming technique.
Although our research will help us to make agriculture more sustainable, it's important to note that we can all play a role in this. By making more conscious decisions with our food, such as buying locally produced food that is in season, or simply reducing red meat consumption, you can not only reduce your food's carbon footprint, but also free up more land for crop farming, which produces significantly more calories per hectare. Despite being grown on less than a quarter of agricultural land, crop plants produce 83% of the global calorie supply. These things are important as part of a societal shift to a more sustainable food system. But to make the changes we need to see, we also need to hold those in power to account. We need improved policy from governments and better practice from corporations. Together, this all highlights how it will only be through a combined effort that we will be able to reach global sustainability goals.